Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to the Three Modes. It's now continuing with Colossians 3, verse 1. Paul says, "If you then be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sits at the right hand of God." Basically, a position of authority. When I read this verse, the first time I read it, I thought probably things that go in heaven, what in many places, things like that. Like man, but realizing that Paul is actually talking about a position of authority, because this is where is Christ seated on the right hand of God. First of all, that is at the throne. That is basically at a position where you make decisions. It's a place where you rule. What helps me understand this analogy properly is the concept of GOT, the hand of the king. Basically, a hand of a king rules as a state of the king. Basically, he's the right hand man of the king. He's the only guy who gets to address the king how he wants. Well, somehow. But yes, basically, that's what it means. He's that guy who rules as the king. He is not above the king, but he rules as the king. Because probably the king is retired, or maybe the king is old, or maybe the king is sick, or maybe the king is still a really young child, or something like that. So basically, Paul is telling us to set our minds on the things that come with the position of being the hand of the king, the hand of God. Basically, that's what it means, because we are one with Christ. So therefore, we should set our minds on the things that take place where Christ sits. You get it? So now, to help solidify the point, Paul goes ahead to say, "Set your affection on the things above and not on the things of the earth. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Christ in God." Again, he hints on it again. Paul keeps on repeating himself. He keeps on saying we are one with Christ, we are the same, he is in us, we are in him, we are his kingdom, we are the church, he is the body, he's the head. Sorry, we are the church, he's the head, we are the body. Basically, he keeps on hinting, he keeps on repeating himself. So again, he repeats himself in 4, whereby he says, "When Christ, who is our life, shall appear, so shall you also appear with him." So first of all, he says, when Christ, who is our life. Like, how can someone who is your life be separate from you? Can't be separate. You're the same thing. But again, look at it. He says, for when he shall appear, so shall you also appear with him in glory." Basically saying, where my body goes, my head shall also go. Where my legs go, that's why I shall also. Basically, that's what he's saying. So where Christ goes, I go. What he says, I say. What he does, I do. Literally the same person. So now that we know we are the same person and we're in this position of authority, what then should happen? So now he tells us we should now mortify our members upon the earth. So first of all, he tells us to transform ourselves in 4 different ways. Personally, with our relationships with our friends, family relationships, and then also business-wise. How? So he says, "Mortify therefore your members upon the earth: fornication, uncleanness, innate affection, covetousness, which is idolatry, and blah 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 blah." Then in 9 he says, "And do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old man." 10, "And have put on the new man, which is renewed after the knowledge of the image of him that created him," or that created us. Right? That's friendship. Then he goes ahead to say, "Wives," that is in 18, "Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands. Husbands, as it is written in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things." Right? And do not, as it is, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord. Then he talks about business, where he says, "Servants, obey in all things your masters according to the flesh, not with eye service as men pleasers, but with singleness of heart, fearing God." Then in 4 verse 1, he says, "Masters, give to your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that you also have a master in heaven." So basically, he tells us to transform our ways in his 4 different ways, 4 different perspectives, 4 different points, right? So, my time is up. So, what is the point? The point is that that God has given us all the authority. We are the guys, we are the cavalry, we are the guys who make the decisions. We are the hands, we are the guys. God is at rest, everything was finished. He has given us all the authority, transferred everything. Christ said, "For I shall be glorified, and God will give me all the stuff, and all the stuff that I also give unto you." That is in John, I don't want to go there. So, so now that we know we have all this authority, what should we do? So, it stands to reason that if we have the authority over all the creations of God, we are the guys who determine. It doesn't matter whether we do good or bad. We have the authority. If you're the king, you can decide to be a bad king or a good king. It doesn't change the fact that you have the authority, right? So that's how it works. So he has given us all the authority. So it's up to us to decide whether the earth will have earthquakes, whether there will be typhoons, whether there will be. It's basically the things that we declare. So if you declare that, if some scientists are out there, they also have the authority. Everyone has the authority. So if some scientists are out there and based on their predictions, they see that there's going to be an earthquake at this time in some place or somewhere, they are going to act according to that saying. They are going to declare those. They are going to believe in it, and so the more they believe in it, the more they keep on saying it, the more they keep on acknowledging it. It will happen because with their authority that God gave them, it is going to happen because they are creating it, because based on what they are saying. That's how it works. So now the Christians who now believe that we can actually speak the negative out of the world, we do not really know that this earthquake is going to happen. We have no idea, we have no clue. It's the people who know, who are now declaring that those things are going to happen, and so they happen. That's how COVID happened. That's how all these things happen. And so we start blaming God, yet we have the authority to say the things, and so we keep on saying wrong things. You get? So I don't know, but Paul is trying to tell us that we now know that we are one with Christ. We are in this position of authority to set our minds on the things above, not on the things on the earth. To set our minds on something that is greater, something that takes care of the whole of the creation of God, right? So it stands to reason that if we are in this position of authority, we should therefore change our ways and live according to based on the life of the person who is, who has given us the authority. That's why the whole of chapter 3, Paul talks about us transforming our ways, renewing our minds.